IEEE Vizag Bay section chair, Dr. Lakshminarayan sir, for giving this wonderful opportunity. And it's an honor to deliver a talk on IEEE Day. And I try to do my best on this occasion. And I wish to tell all of you that I happy IEEE Day. And as you know, the theme of the IEEE day is leveraging technology for a better tomorrow. Okay, so all we as IEEE members, we know that what is the importance of the IEEE, and even I have benefited a lot of in a lot of way that in my professional career also. So in that way, with my experience and knowledge, what I gained in last decade, okay. So I have come across a lot of experience, particularly towards research work, and I'm becoming witness of the some of the research work also as a reviewer and then as a supervisor, as a observer, a lot of within different roles actually. So in that way, that actually I thought let us give some kind of a lecture on this topic, a pathway to good quality research work and innovation. This is what title I decided, and really thanks for this invitation. And then I will do my best today. And I request all the attendees, please be have patience, and if you have any discussion, you can have it. So, and coming to the I summarized recently my CV in different way for different purpose. I mentioned it already just now. Srishti sir told you. One thing is, if you look at my professional journey, started in really PhD days actually, because where I joined in IEEE in 2009, and right now it's more than 12 years plus I am with IEEE, and every step in my professional career IEEE is with me, and then that is what I believe that because of IEEE platform only I have achieved many things in these recent years actually. So these are all contribution. I definitely I thanks to IEEE. Without IEEE, my journey would have been into different way, and then because of IEEE only, project in a good way in my professional career. And generally, I give talks on energy, power, and higher education, research and innovation, STEM education, career opportunities for engineering students and startups. These are generally my talks wherever I used to give for different engineering colleges and all. And next is this is what even many awards also I received because of IEEE. That's what I would like to thank again IEEE, because without IEEE, this whatever knowledge I gained, okay, because of that only. And also I keep myself is very busy in academic activities and research activities, being holding different additional positions in in NIT Andhra Pradesh and other professional bodies actually. And though it is difficult, and still I try to manage all the issues with the same equal priority. That's what I am doing my job here. And this presentation is intended for only to share the some kind of a educational knowledge purpose in general, and doesn't target any individual person or institute or agency. It is a very general basic thing, because I kept a word like a good quality. So when you want to define what is a good quality, then already is there some kind of poor quality, bad quality in the system. So that's what I just kept some of the slides on that also. And one thing is, if you want to search what is research, so research, it's if you search in a Google, you will get a simple definition in dictionary. So that is exact definition. Everybody should accept it. That will tell you that systematic investigation into studies of different materials or sources in order to establish the facts and new conclusions. So this is what very exact definition. So we need to provide some kind of a establish a new facts, and facts, and then new conclusions you need to arrive it. So that's what sometimes we feel as a researcher, we are also lagging some kind of giving new conclusions and all. So that's what when you write any paper or publications also, we will try to look into some kind of new conclusions from the research out as a research outcome. And coming to some kind of what is the developments are happening in India. So fortunately, India has placed third place among the countries in scientific publication domain as per the National Science Foundation USA. And recently, we are also in last 2020 year, we are among the top 50 innovative economic countries. Our rank is right now is 48th rank in the as per the Global Innovation Index. Earlier it was above 40, above 70, so 3 years ago. And also we are fortunately we are standing at the third position in terms of number of PhD and in the size of higher education systems and as well as number of startups. So this is a good sign, and last 2-3 years we are going in a good direction and in terms of science and technology improvements and all in the country. And funding also is increasing from the government side. So if you compare with 5 years ago, what the funding was, are close to 3,000 crores per year, and whereas in this year they have allocated, nearly 6,000 crores for our science and technology developments in India. And a lot of statistics you could get to know from the DST. So how many organizations are got benefited from the this funding from the particularly from the Department of Science and Technology. So though these numbers are big, but it's big for us. But thing is sometimes it's also very small for a big country like India. So still we need to go in a longer way, and then we need to have more schemes to reach out each and every faculty and student of the country. So still we are in that way. And let us come to main discussion. Before describing that what is a good quality research, and let us know about what is a poor quality and bad research, what's going on practices in the current scenario, because these are all based on my experience in last 10 years, and I have come across different situations, and I have I have become witness to that some kind of a where it is poor quality is involving into this research domain and all. So one thing is what I observed is the authors, some of the authors, they copying the text for figures or anything results also sometimes they directly from other resources, other sources. So that is what complete it's a bad research that we should not do that practice. It comes under plagiarism. So you should never do copying from any other source actually. So if you do the publication, if you do the research work, so that is the first quality I see that we should be avoided. And next is repeated work. So we sometimes we see that the work is belongs to basic domain, but still it is people are doing again doing the basic work, and then they are doing the projecting it again. So that nothing is new in that content. Even though sometimes the authors or researchers they do advanced work, but still that is repeated. That is already done by the previous researchers last year or before year, something like. So there is no, again that is also comes under poor quality of research work. And next is sometimes we refer the poor quality papers published in non-Scopus, non-Web of Science indexed portals. We try to download it. So that is also again it comes under poor quality, because your input itself is you are getting a poor quality. Then how your your output that you expected is a high quality or good quality. So that's what now you are diluting at the input stage itself. That's one thing people do it. And next is, and they some of the authors they publish in non-Scopus, non-Web of Science index journals also. So that is also, that means the quality of the journals nowadays it's only decided by this indexed primarily this indexed by these two agencies, and of course UGC CARE also it is there. So another one. So you need to see that whether you are where you are publishing your articles, and so that you will get good recognition, and then your work is validated by that many other agencies and other research institutes also. And another point is poor technical writing with lot of grammatical mistakes. So one is maybe the authors may not knowing how to write a research article, even though they study a lot of literature survey and all. Still they fail to replicate, or they try to follow the technical writing skills actually. So that is what very much you can, this issue also you can see. That is also you will see a lot of grammatical mistakes and lot of sentences, all these things you don't find connection between the previous sentence and next sentence. A lot of issues will be there. This is also comes under poor quality writing and all. And next is there is no proper formatting of the publication. So now when you go for publication, each journal or conference it has certain formats. So even or don't know, actually people they don't follow that particular format. They still they do their own formats and upload it, and then that is simply they will reject it also at the initial time and all. So this is also another poor quality of projecting your research also in different format. And also some nowadays you see, even I am getting calls also. I am working as faculty here in NIT, so sometimes I suddenly I'll get a phone call for per week, somewhere in Tamil Nadu, somewhere, some places and all. So they call me and then, sir, we would like to provide a PhD assistance, and we'll write a paper, we'll do the work, and we'll do thesis work, everything. They'll even they send me emails also. So I don't know if your PhD work is done by somebody else, somebody agency. Then what is for you? Then is it right? Then who is your boss? What is his job? Is it right? So these kind of agencies is also available nowadays. You will find in Hyderabad, you will find in Bangalore, you will find in other metropolitan cities also. It's again very very bad research. I mean, now culture that is already started in the market. I mean, I can say, so that they are building one market for that actually. So this is also, I mean, we should completely, this avoid it actually. These are all comes under poor, bad quality. And there are some particular reasons actually why we are, I mean, some of the authors, some of the people are, yielding to some kind of these poor quality or bad research, I mean, practices. And there are some particular reasons why they are doing it. So when I analyze personally, so I come across one is, one reason is non-availability of the literature database. Okay, so suppose if you want to download IEEE paper, if you want to download any other journal paper, first of all, they don't have any license, or they don't have any subscription for that. Okay, membership and all. So even their colleges also, they don't have any database or something like. Then what they do is they will go for that kind of bad practices only. So another reason is non-availability of the project tools and equipment. Even your college, your working place, so you don't have any project facilities. Even softwares are not available, hardware is not available. Then what you can do? So this is the one reason they say. And next is non-availability of the mentor or guide. So you don't have any supervisor with you. So that's one reason they say. And then another reason is, so availability of the guide who is already in the poor quality research. There are sometimes you see there is a research scholar, maybe he is working as a PhD student, or he is working as a faculty member some other college, and his boss also, he is already involved, he has done a poor quality research. If you do PhD, or if you do project under him or under her, so what will happen? Obviously you will also get into the same domain, poor quality research only. So this is what also another problem I see in practically, or I mean, this is a fact. That's what already it's practicing. And next is attention towards easy paid publication overnight 1 week. There are some journals are there, so they don't review your articles. So just you pay some money, so overnight you pay it, and tomorrow morning you will get a publication which is not indexed in any database also. And it's almost we generally we call it is junk and waste journals and all. So even sometimes you will get in 1 week also. These are all bad, I mean, research practices that you see in the research domain nowadays. And also co-authorship without any contribution. Sometimes people will ask me, and sir, we wanted to keep your name as a research paper or something like, somebody like, sometimes you see three four authors in the paper, but there will be only one or two main authors. There will be other for other purposes. They have some friendship, they have something like. So thing is, that is also, suppose that paper, if it is good, that is okay for all four of them, three of them, it's okay. But if the paper quality is very poor quality, then what will happen is the additionally added person also, he also comes under poor quality group only. So you are also spoiling his name, or you are also spoiling his career also. So this is all without any contribution. Nobody should accept the co-authorship. If you have any contribution towards that paper, so then only you should accept the co-authorship. That's the one thing I see, that this is also one reason. And next is lack of professional ethics and values. So because when you do the research work, when you do the go for publication work, so we need to particularly follow particular this professional ethics and values. That is what people may not be aware of this. So that is one reason I can say. And last one is lack of motivation and inspiration. So maybe one thing is they didn't attend, they didn't meet any some kind of a professor or good researchers, okay, in their life. Then obviously what they know is what is good research, what is bad research. So whatever know, that is only they, I mean, they feel that that is good only. So that is what people, I mean, see that there is a lack of motivation for them, lot of inspiration from I mean, good researchers or good professors and all. This is what generally, these are the reasons personally when I think it, I have noted down here. So then if you go to project work, what should be your aim? So one is maybe you can aim to publish even a good journal, that can be your aim, and you can publish your work in conference. or you can motivate that project work can motivate you for higher studies, or you can solve any societal problem, you can solve any industrial problem, or you can try to get some kind of innovative awards from government, industry, or institution through your research work, or you can deploy your project work in the field, or you can become entrepreneur from your project work itself, or you can launch your own startup company, that is also similar to that. And next is, or you can get the best thesis award, because nowadays government agencies, other industries also, they are giving best thesis award at BTech level, MTech level, and PhD level also. And or you can also try to get attractive placements or job in a repetitive company. So every project, okay, whatever you take it at any level, BTech or MTech or PhD level, research oriented project, you should have some kind of aim. So these are the, at least every student or faculty, anybody, if you are doing some kind of a project or publication, you should try to aim what is you are aiming for. So this is generally targets or aim, you should keep it. So anybody can select at least one, minimum one they should select it. Somebody can select it for multiple also, there is no problem in that. And this, as all of you know, that project based learning is really, it's good, because here by learning by doing that, you will acquire skills, because the skills is most important for anybody, otherwise you cannot grow in your profession. So skill you should have it, so then only you will have a good career actually. And generally, what is the prerequisites to start any research project? So that can be student or faculty. So first of all, we should have some kind of basic knowledge, so that you will have a confidence to enter into that project area. And next is, you should have a basic skills to start the project work. And then next is, you should have some kind of awareness on what are the resources are required, like a software, hardware, what are the materials required for your project work. So generally with this idea, then easily one can enter into some kind of a research project. And then there are some kind of, when you enter it, there will be a lot of questions in your mind. So one is how to choose a topic, and then how to choose a project guide, and what are the references and literature, and then how to execute and implement project, and then how to overcome any challenges, difficulty during a project if arise, and then whether a project will be completed within the time, whether project will be scope, will be the what will be the scope and application of the project, because this is a common question will be asked by examiner, what is application of your project. And next is, what makes your project is innovative or innovation. Okay, so generally these are the questions will be there every project student and project staff actually. So because every question now it has a solution, and it's have easy methodology nowadays actually. So that we'll discuss some of the points in this presentation. So one is, first thing is how to execute an academic or research project successfully. So first anybody should see that what is the area of work you wanted to work in. So you need to select this particular area. Once you select the area, then you need to identify what is the problem to be stated in that particular area. And once the problem is stated, then you try to maybe make your objectives for the problem. So what you wanted to achieve, what you wanted to make it as an output or outcome. And then based on now, once you understand this, then let us go for literature review, literature survey. Then once you do it, after that, what will you do it? So you will try to do state of art. You need to find the state of art. So what is the purpose of state of art is, what is the current status, what is up to now, what is the status of this on this problem statement or objective. So you will understand better, and then you can decide what is the scope of work. Sometimes your objective is I wanted to get some kind of a efficiency of 80%, you will keep the target. But once you go to literature survey and you find out the state of art, then already there is some person is achieved some kind of 85%. Your objective is 80%, but already is available efficiency available 85%. Then what is now, you need to change your scope of work. So according to the state of art, that is what now state of art is required. And according to that, you can tune your what is the scope of work is remaining to you, so that based on the scope of work, you will not repeat the work which is already done by others previously. So that is a very important step. And then finally, once you understand this all the steps, then you propose your research project plan. So how you are trying to execute your plan. So that what methodology people will say, that is the action plan, you will make it. So along with the action plan, you make it your roadmap with the targets like a timeline and all these things. And timely you review your work with the supervisor, guide or mentor. And finally you can able to submit your work. So generally this is a very simple methodology. Almost all the researchers and project students, and they follow this methodology, very simple way. and these academic and research projects decide will potential for the job seeking or career pathway, because these all, when you are trying to apply any jobs also, or any, I mean, higher positions also, they will talk about how many, instead of how many publications, they'll talk about how many research projects that you are executed also. That is also very important weightage it has. And next is, what is the fundamental route in identifying new technologies? So even further, I mean, simplified compared to previous one, what I mentioned. So one is, first is in the technology you identify what is the state of art or current status. Then you try to understand what is the problems in existing technologies and method. Then you propose your future development and scope for you. What can be improved? So based on the problems that you see in the methodology and technology. So this was a three-step way also you can simplify your work and then try to execute and complete. This is what also can be done. And there are different trends are there actually in research. So what way you will execute your project. So one will do the only modeling of his systems. Okay, that can be electrical system, that can be computer system, that can be any systems. Any systems in engineering that can be model. So that's one area. And design, there is one area. And development, sometimes this is combinations also possible. Modeling, design and development put together also it is possible. And next is simulation studies, already it's known to all of you. And then analytical and critical studies is possible, control techniques is possible, optimization techniques possible, comparative studies, and then integration, experimental studies, and performance validation, like this. So you will find these kind of different trends you will see, and sometimes the researchers will pick in 2-3 combinedly, or 2-3 separately. So that's what they do it actually. So generally what most of you are aware that, so first let us go with simulation and then do the experimental. So but you can do, apart from that, you can do other things also like this actually. This is just I'm giving some examples here. So what is the research trend? Sometimes you will see there will be some papers in IEEE also. They don't give any experimental results. Still they will give results from the modeling and design only. Not even that is not even from simulation. Still they will get IEEE transaction. So how you can analyze how they are getting the papers and how quality of work even you can execute from the modeling and design. It is possible. Okay. And next is, there are some kind of references, literature you should follow it for project work or research project work. So nowadays you can follow a primary source. I can recommend always IEEE Explorer, because that IEEE publications is standing in first place for almost all the electrical, electronics, communication, instrumentation and computer science domains actually. So I recommend to go to IEEE journals particularly, and then conferences also. And there are some secondary journals are already available. And of course sometimes you need to go to other websites also, from like IEEE Spectrum, Renewable Energy, or in case of if you belongs to electrical students and all, because these kind of some kind of a government website and other technology development websites, which will give some kind of statistical data, and you will try to understand what is the latest developments are happening, and sometimes that will also yield to some kind of new ideas also for your projects also. This is also possible. And sometimes you may refer to some latest books and lecture notes and technical developments and some kind of that. So in that way you will get some kind of design equations and formula. Sometimes you don't find the design equation formula in the papers, publication, because paper length will be short. Authors may not be providing all the equations in the complete derivations and all, but in book you will find some kind of complete derivations and formulas. And of course attending some kind of tutorials and webinars also is good for you, because there will be spark for you to get a select for any problem statement, and it can also help you for troubleshooting for all these things and all. Nowadays people know about MATLAB, but if one can go to MathWorks website, so that is a website of the MATLAB, so you will get a lot of resources. That's what sometimes we don't go to original source, so you will go into some tail end source or something where you will try to search it. So if you go to original site, so you will get many things also. Just I am keeping the example like a MathWorks, where if you will get in original site, you will get a lot of things, a lot of resources available. And also another one, sometimes you will get some kind of ideas from the email group or networking group. For example, for electrical, there is a Power Globe is there, where email listing is there. All electrical engineers on the globe, they are in the one email group. So daily lot of emails are going exchanging between different professor, different industry person. You will get a lot of ideas also actually from that group. And of course, I agree there are some constraints during your project work. So one is place of work and environment where you are working it, and there are institute and lab facilities and timelines. And of course, sometimes you will feel lack of guidance also. These are all some kind of constraints you generally, students and faculty they face it. But still, I say that knowledge is open source and unlimited. So still you can you blame it, but thing is I cannot completely agree that statement, like because nowadays knowledge is open source, and whatever knowledge you wanted to seek it, and it's in the form of unlimited form nowadays actually. So whatever now you take it any topic, so latest technology updated whatever you wanted. Suppose let us take 5G, you take it wireless power transfer, electric vehicles or renewable energy, whatever information you wanted to get it, it's now if it search it in Google, it's open source, it's available for you, the data and then almost everything. So knowledge is open source. And next is sometimes there is how the good researchers, some kind of even some IIT professors, how they manage their task every day and all. So if you think it actually, the hard work, how they do hard work, and then how the good researcher they put the time for it, you can see that. So they will keep themselves 15 to 18 hours per day working. So that's what they do it, and then minimum 5 to 10 hours research related work they do it per day, and they will have some kind of good support in terms of a good number of project students will be them. So that's how they execute the work through project student, and they continuously review different journals and thesis report, so that they will knowledge will be continuously updated on the current technology, current what is the work they are working. And also they will get a good support from teaching assistants for the teaching and labs. That's what their academic jobs and their professional career in that particular institute, it will go very smoothly. And they will attend the examiner a different viva wise MTech and PhD, so that they will also get to know what is going on other universities, other researchers, what they are doing and all. And also they will attend a lot of events as a resource person, talks and webinars and all. So that's why they will share the knowledge, and they will try to interact with the different people. And even they will attend a lot of conferences, network meeting, and also sometimes they will try to explore the different funding options from the industries, government agencies. This is how they good researchers or even IIT professors and all, and even scientists from the CSR, DSIR. So you see them, those eminent scholars, they keep them busy with these activities and all. So only thing is here, so you need to dedicate time. So if you are keeping time for it, that means you are working hard. That's it. Okay. So time is proportional to hard work is proportional to your time spent. That's it. Very simple formula here. And I wanted to give some kind of a tips for your research actually, for the young researchers and all. So people may worry about we don't have access or we don't have subscription to that actually. Maybe instead of going with the worrying about it, or you can go with open access literature survey. Even IEEE also bringing in a lot of open access journals. Now even IEEE access is there, in that you will download more than nearly 50,000 documents is open source. And even power and energy there is open source, and power electronics there is open source. Like that in IEEE also a lot of every domain and society there is a open source open access journal they are bringing now. So maybe you can depending on that, and maybe you can read papers carefully, understand what is the technical knowledge, language of the content, because this is what all the authors, okay, they fail to do this job. So they download a lot of papers, but they never read the paper completely. Okay, so you need to read the paper completely. So if you read the understand, then you will understand what is the technical knowledge they are writing to describe their or to explain the results. So all these things you will understand better way. So these all will give better experience. So if suppose this, if you do this task is very well, so if you suppose if you take 1 month time to write a first paper, and you have been experienced with that, and second paper will not take 1 month time, so it will be less than 1 month time. So that's what this practice is very much needed wherever, whichever position is there. Even you become an associate professor or professor, you become a senior engineer, whatever way. So don't do stop that procedure. And also you need to choose some kind of a mentor, that is also required. So senior person, you talk to them, he take his advice, guidance, and also that mentorship or guidance or supervision can be as a converted as a collaboration. Okay, maybe being a student you will get a mentorship or a guideship or something, but once you've completed, then you may be collaborating with the same person. That is also collaboration explore. And even you can also have a joint publications with the mentor also. That is also possible. And how, what, based on the relation that you maintain with him. And next is, so select a research area where with minimum or no experimental things. So that is also possible, because nowadays you take any engineering, I mean, domain or sector. So that in the area itself, you know, if there are minimum experiment, there is no without experimental also, you can still, you can publish a good journal also. That is also possible, including in IEEE. So that is that kind of areas you can select it. Or you can execute the work using open source tools. There are sometimes we feel that there are some licensed softwares are not available in our college or with me or something like. So then instead of that, there are some alternative or supplementary tools are available nowadays. Those are called, you know, open source tools. So you can utilize them for your work execution. That is possible. Or and then next is you try to publish in only in Scopus or Web of Science indexed based journal, of course, plus UGC care list also. So you can see that, so at least it should be indexed in any one of these three databases. Okay, so otherwise your journal will not be recognized. Okay, and publish, I strongly recommend to publish in IEEE, only IEEE conference. If you are selecting for going with conferences, go with only IEEE conference, because if you go with any other conferences, so your conference paper will not be visible, will not be, nobody cannot search your paper also. Okay, only IEEE, because all IEEE conference papers also uploaded in the IEEE Explorer. You will get a lot of citations also, you will get a lot of recognition also, but you don't get such kind of recognition, validation from other conferences and all. It's completely, it's sometimes it will become useless also. Okay, so better you go with the only IEEE conference. I strongly recommend this. So these are the things I would like to give some kind of tips for the young researchers and all. And coming to innovation parts actually, so how you can convert your research work into innovation. So innovation is just state of mind. So how you make your project is very cost effective. One is a very important parameter is it should be very cost effective, and it should be very novel component should have a part of your project work. Then only it will become an innovation part. Okay, and there are some you can see, look at the what kind of innovations are going on in the India. So particularly one can visit the National Innovation Foundation, where you will get a lot of databases. Okay, these databases will contain from the innovation from the school children, public, grassroots, and common publics, farmers, and then professors and students, faculty. Lot of, you will find them a lot of things here. And of course, MIT Technology Review also, every year they announce for 35 innovators and 35 years actually. You will get a lot of inspiration from that. And next is, you will find this website, that is this Srishti Foundation. So every year they give the best project awards. Okay, it may not be, those projects may not be your curriculum project. It can be independent, some general projects also, where you can apply for Gandhian Young Technological Award. So they started in 2012. Every year they are giving it a BTech level, MTech level, and PhD level. So all three. Even there, you will be surprised. There are small engineering colleges or small, rural colleges students also, they are getting a lot of innovative awards every year. So you will try to go to their description here, and you will be inspired and you will be motivated a lot towards innovation projects and all. And even recently, 2019, so Ministry of Education released, and in partnership with the UGC and AICTC also, so they have given the National Innovation and Startup Policy for students and faculty also. So how the students can start being a student, being a first year BTech student, or you can start your own startup company in your college. That is possible as per this guideline. Even faculty can start it. So a lot of supportive things are happening from the government side also, and towards this startups and innovation. And even colleges can establish the subtle innovation missions. Actually, that is also the scheme. Every year they announce it. And there are some colleges already in the Andhra also. They have the New Gen IEDC, that is called Innovation Entrepreneurship Development Center. So every year they call for it. So under that they call for the Nidhi also. So there are some, I know some engineering colleges in Andhra, they got these centers, and they got the good funding for their student startups also actually. And this is what they every year they call for some kind of a proposals. It is from the Niti Aayog actually, and every year the Ministry of Education Innovation Council they conduct our national innovation contest also. Apart from this, they will also conduct a Smart India Hackathon, that is also invite a lot of innovative projects from the students. Okay, and they conduct a lot of Yukti also, this one last year. So submission of innovation technologies and startups and details from the higher education, they tried to collect it from different datas. And Smart India Hackathon, just now I said, so every year it grandly they do it, and last year also they conducted, last 2 years they combinedly they did it. And there will be software domain, and then there will be a hardware domain is there separately, and then each you will get a lot of problem statements from the industries. In this also the industries themselves they will keep their problem statements, and you need to select them and then try to give a solution to towards that. It's a very challenging and very interesting for all the students, and even faculties can be as a part of the mentors also. This is also Smart India. And currently these are the some kind of a promoting things government is giving for education institute. One is DST New Gen IEDC and DST Atal Incubation Centers, and they also sanctioned for DSIR MSME R&D Center. This is what we recently NIT Andhra Pradesh got it. And also CIA also, Confederation of Indian Industry, they also keep some kind of centers, academic industry centers also, some colleges or institutes also. And Ministry of Education Innovation Initiative Council also. So those councils also they try to establish actually. So that is voluntarily one can forward, and then they can set up the councils at the innovation councils at the colleges. And of course, so faculty and students they can apply for a lot of innovation awards. So one is they can apply for young engineer awards, and then best faculty awards also they give. And then for coming to students, innovative student project awards. Okay, and they give for BTech level, and they give at MTech level and PhD level. So last year one BTech student of NIT Andhra, he got it best BTech thesis award from this actually. It's supported by Government of India. So DST will fund for this agency, Indian National Academy of Engineering. So anybody, you look at the projects, okay, where are they and which, what is the abstract and what is the title. So you can try to go to the previous database and find out how they are getting the best innovative projects and all. And next is Ministry of Electronics and Information also, Information Technology. They also give the best thesis awards also. They give a lot of funded projects also. So for example, this is NAMPET for the power electronic technology. It comes under CDAC. So that is one. Even they also give the best thesis award also for electrical engineers. And there will be some other appreciations from the ISTE also, Indian Society for Technical Education. They also give the best thesis award every year also. This is also good innovative project they encourage. And even other agencies like NGOs, suppose this is a kind of NGO which is founded at the IIT Kanpur. So International Society for Energy and Environment System. They also give the best thesis award if your project is innovative. And NRDC, National Research Development Corporation, they give invention awards in every year. So they call for proposals and all. And next is India Innovation Initiatives. Every year they conduct with collaboration with the CAA. So that is also one thing. And NRDC, particularly every year they call for the innovative prototypes for the startups. So they encourage all the engineering students and scholars actually from the country. So they give the first prize 50,000, 40,000, 30,000. They are later stage also they will try to help you to convert your project into prototype into startups actually. This is a call every year they call for you. And then as I mentioned, student startup Nidhi award. So DST call for every year this is awards, and students can apply for this. And lastly, with the currently actually with this Nidhi scheme, they have Government of India encouraged nearly 3,681 startups, and they incubated for 153 incubators and generated nearly 65,000 employment actually. So they spend, revenue how much it is generated? 27,000 crores it is generated from the startups, and nearly 2,000 intellectual property rights they they claimed it actually. And even there is another scheme Mayank. So in that also there is a 3.8 million ideas they collected from the school children also in the country. This out they try to get the idea box also they are creating actually. And this is another scheme is Nidhi Prayas. It's supported by the IIT Bombay. So where you can submit your idea and then build your prototype and then convert your prototype into product. They will help you and all. So with this funding and all, this is one. And of course other extension of this Nidhi Entrepreneur in Residence program actually. So where the nurturing, how they try to nurture the entrepreneurs actually. Even they call for you some kind of a residence program, like they will invite you to the National Innovation Foundation, they will invite you to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, they will give you accommodation there, and they will try to connect with you a lot of big our senior entrepreneurs. They will help you to convert your prototype into startups and all. So these are a lot of programs are going on every year. And even there are some kind of colleges also, they are collaborating with the government agency, like Amruta is one example here. So Amruta TBI, they are collaborating every government of India. They are calling for a lot of idea to prototype schemes and all. They also call for this thing. And startups, this is this thing. And one thing is, if you look at all the developments, what is happening in the science and technology in this towards the innovative project areas, so IEEE is feeling it. So if you look at IEEE, it's involved in the industry point one, that is where the steam engine, okay, invented by the James Watt, and that's how the industrial revolution started. And then next is the electricity, Thomas Alva Edison, how he contributed to IEEE. And then computers, that is industry 3.0, and then right now we are into industry 4.0, that is cyber physical systems. And this is a very new area where it's integration of different computational networking and physical equipment devices, all the embedded systems and all. And this cyber physical system is a very emerging and very new brand area that I can recommend. So where you can apply for any sector, okay, because nowadays we are dealing with computational networking and then physical systems. Everywhere you will find it, any engineering sector or domain. So this is one of the very good area where you will find a lot of interdisciplinary nature here. So this is one of the strong research area growing nowadays actually. Even DST have called for a lot of proposals for on this area and all. So researchers maybe can concentrate on this area. And even if you look at the electrical engineering, so how it is trying to convert into future of electrical engineering. So one is what is the prime research areas in the electrical engineering. So one is microgrids and smart grids and electric vehicles. Right now these three are emerging. And thing is, if you want to integrate these things in, there are some emerging technologies required. There is one is IoT, machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain, data science, and cyberbullying. You see how these things, one can see that these are the topics maybe belongs to computer science engineering, but how this kind of computer science engineering things are helping the electrical engineering here. So that's what now is a complete the future of electrical engineering going to be converted into different way for the in future also. Similarly, even other department, other branches also, if you look at any engineering. So all these three, these listed technologies can play a big role in that actually. So this is what you can see, a lot of changes in view of these emerging technologies in an engineering branch and sector. And for example, 4 technologies can be combined here in case of electrical. Already if you are known very well about energy technology, then sorry. So grid operating technology you will try to understand. Of course, as a consumer, I have an idea about consumer technology and but thing is, it's essential to know about information technology also, so that I will optimally operate my consumer technology as well as grid operating technology, any technology. So that's what now, what is the role of information technology in dealing with these other 3 electrical technology. This is what you will find very interdisciplinary. And some suggestions to students actually what to participate, being the 4-year BTech or MTech or PhD, or even faculty members also, where they can involve and where they can help and mentor the students also. There are some very important, high level competitions happening in India. Like I listed them here. So one is Smart India Hackathon, IBM Hackathon, Pan IT Hackathon, TCS Human Intelligence, Artificial Intelligence, InfraMind, TCS. So I3CI, DSTTI Innovation Challenge. This is also very much, popular one nowadays here. And then India Innovation Growth Program, 3MCI Young Innovators Challenges Award, Techpedia, National Innovation Awards, INA Student Project Awards, NRDC Call for Projects, and My MSME project or a Startup India program, and My Startup constant contest by the Britannia Marigold Biscuit Company, and then DST Startup Nidhi, IEEE Project Expo, like that. So there are very popular, okay, you can find them. So you can try to encourage your students to participate this, and even if you are student, you please participate this kind of, and you will find very different turning point you will find with this, participating with it. Okay, at least that is participation is very much important. So that will give you a good, very good direction for your future also. And this is one thing I will recommend between the student and faculty or young faculty with the senior faculty something. So you should try to maintain a mentor-mentee scheme. So throughout your life, even I am now I'm a faculty in NIT Andhra. Still, I try to have maintain some kind of a senior persons in my professional career, where I continuously seek some kind of a suggestions and some kind of a advices also from the senior person. This is what I try to maintain. So each one of you, everybody in your deal, in a professional career, you try to maintain some kind of a mentor, so that you will get a good guidance and motivation, what is wrong and what is right, and every stage your professional career. Okay, so this is I recommend it. And finally, I will see that there are some 3 important learnings important in the professional education or career, whatever. If you are being student education, if you are, already practicing, if you are in career. So one is continuous learning is very much important. Okay, so you never be stop your learning process. That's what any webinar if anybody attending. So don't neglect is attending. So whatever gaining knowledge and today, that will help you definitely tomorrow. So that tomorrow can be immediately tomorrow, today itself, or tomorrow, or it can be after 10 years also. So that's what you need to continuously update your knowledge. Okay, continuous process. Another is self-learning. So don't wait for somebody, somebody should teach me, somebody should guide me, or something like. Nowadays, everything is self-learning. Through self-learning, you can able to learn anything. And finally, it's global learning, because you are living in a global competitive level. So that's what global learning is very much important nowadays actually. So this thing. And finally, before concluding my talk, I would like to summarize some of the key important benefits of IEEE members, because in view of the IEEE day, I would like to share this also. And one is IEEE provides the educational research career resources for students and professional members, and we receive the continuous and updated knowledge in the technical domain through e-resources, emails, website, and print material and all. And IEEE, as you know, that it's a primary source of technical knowledge for standards in case of electrical, electronics, communication, instrumentation, computer science engineering, other interdisciplinary areas. And you will get a recognition while applying for awards and fellowships, and it is useful for getting in job opportunities, and recognized membership is recognized at your workplace at global level, no matter wherever you are working, whatever position. And also it will give a good technical networking and improve your contacts in technical domain, your domain group. And it gives you a lot of opportunity to participate various programs like conferences, workshops, and competition. Also you will get a discount also if you have IEEE membership. And also you will be eligible to apply from some kind of a project grants from IEEE, and travel grants, prizes, awards, and scholarships. And also it will help you to get a leadership positions in a professional career, even within the IEEE or beyond the IEEE also. And it finally it becomes IEEE become a very common platform in a professional career. You may be moving to one profession, one job to another job, or you may be changing one company to another company, one college to another college. So, but still IEEE become a common platform for your professional career. This way IEEE will help you. So this way you'll get a lot of benefits from IEEE. Okay. So with this, I would like to end my talk. And before ending, once again, I would like to tell that happy IEEE day on this occasion, and thanking you for giving this opportunity, sir. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep sir, for a wonderful lecture on research and how to carry forward. Definitely, it will help the participants and even the panelists for the continuing learning and education.